Good evening, and well, good night. Yes, good night. That's the end of the show. No. Welcome to the Assembly 2013 compostudio, demo compostudio. I'm Sir Garbage Truck. Welcome to my show. This will be an hour of me talking. I have some people here to witness my talking. There won't be anybody else other than me talking. I don't know why they gave them headsets. Seriously, that's the worst idea we've ever had. We've already, oh yeah, Frankie is going to leave at some point because he's already bored. And yeah, we're going to talk about something called demos. Has anybody heard of these demo things before?
It's this thing where you walk along the street holding signs?
Yes, it's called walking along the street holding signs. And we do this every year, several times, at what are called demo parties, which are basically where we walk along and we have signs. And people throw fish at us. Yes?
Demo is that blowing up buildings, and it's what we do in Vegas.
Well, there's also that. We can do it in Vegas, yes.
Blow stuff up.
And we also blow things up. Yes. Base Cadet.
Oh, I just thought that there were just demo versions of games.
Also, there are downloadable demo versions of games, or there used to be. Now you have to buy that as in-game content. Sedok.
and I've heard that bands have something called demo tapes.
Yes, demo tapes, yes. I think that Public Enemy mentioned that at one point in their rap about Don't Believe the Hype. There were demo tapes mentioned in that, yes. All right, so why don't we just go through the people who aren't going to speak at all during this rest of the thing. We have...
Venom?
Oh, damn it.
No problem.
It's either Vader or Viper, and I've already forgotten. It's Vader, yes?
Venom.
Venom, actually.
See, it's a metal band from the UK. Why can't Truck remember a metal band from the UK? We don't know. Next to him is not a metal band from the UK. It's Sedok.
Well, not yet a metal band.
Not yet. Okay. We might have a metal band named themselves after Sedok. In the back, we have Deeper.
Yeah, hi.
And then Frankie.
Not a metal band, but
also not a metal band.
But certainly an EBM 4/4 beat.
Right. And in front of him we have Base Cadet, grindcore band from South Africa.
There is actually a Finnish band called Gasman, because I was very annoyed when the Last FM page has some of me and some of them. So
that actually happens far too often with some bands. I think they're actually. I think there's actually some strange stuff on the Napalm Death page, which is not Napalm Death. And Urs, you are, of course, German techno.
No, I guess actually I'm a Hungarian metal band.
A Hungarian metal band?
Because Urs is the Hungarian word for bear, I've learned.
Ah. Yeah. And, you know, there are 3 bands named Sir Garbage Truck, and that's what I, of course, named myself after. All right, we're here to actually talk about Keops's birthday. Happy birthday, Keops. And we had 7 demonstrations this year. 7 people stood up on stage walking around with signs. And the first one was protesting mustaches. And this was called BMMWBLA. Was made by Kulmapiste. Other than protesting mustaches, does anybody remember anything about this? Base Cadet.
Well, I remember it being quite a manly demo.
Yeah. Let's see. Sedok would like to say something. Should I go to him or not? Yes, Sedok.
Did you see this picture of a guy in the audience dressed up with a mustache? He has a vest on. He has a tea set. So like, you know, an English tea set, pouring himself tea, and he's got his table laid out very neatly. I'm just wondering if there's a connection here.
I don't know, because I didn't see him. I did see the fellow that was doing the cosplay thing, dressed up as Dalsim from Street Fighter. So that kind of took my attention away from anybody dressed up as Englishmen. And there were a couple people that were walking around in suits with kilts. That kind of got my attention as well.
Yeah, Garbage Truck likes to look up people's kilts.
You know, you have to check. I mean, that is the thing. Make sure that there are actual legs there, because otherwise they're just floating, and it's really, really bizarre. Frankie, did you want to say anything before you leave because you're bored?
Who knows?
Okay, about this demo though.
About this demo?
Yes, the one with the mustache.
Lots of flashing squares in the beginning, underneath the mustache.
Underneath.
And the mustache was rotating.
Gasman?
Well, I was wondering something, because I remember from like 5 years back, there was someone who appeared in the demo comp a few times by the name of Kuma Dot. And obviously there's also Kuma, and I seem to remember that Kuma Dot did like demos in some variant of BASIC, and managed to wind up a lot of sceners by including an obligatory old school part in each demo that wound people up because it was old school on a new school platform, and
Yes.
that's like Holy War and that sort of thing. But I was wondering if that is indeed the same guy, then obviously his...
Well, Kuma Piste is Kuma Dot in Finnish.
That would make sense. Right. Well, that's my mystery cleared up then. So, yeah. So I think he's certainly got the old school spirit down now. So, yeah.
And remember when we had a number of Speedfisters demos that were Foleyba related, and I remember in 2003, 10 years ago, there was the whole Foleyba craze during Breakpoint and so forth. So it's kind of a throwback to that, I felt. Anyone else with any other comments on Mustache?
It was colorful. That is a positive thing to say.
I honestly don't remember much about it.
And it had its genuine style.
Right, it did.
There is, if you walk down the hallway here, there is, I think it's between the game lab and the entrance, there are fake old posters of sporting events, and one of them has a picture of a Belgian boxer from 1920s. That's exactly the same mustache. That there must be a link that this building wanted this demo to be protested.
Yes, that must be it. All right, the next one, and Sedok, and I'm going to ask you to pronounce this one because there are some people at home who haven't heard the transition between your Irish accent and your Finnish accent, and this always freaks people out when you do it. And you do it naturally because you've lived here for most of your life.
Okay, you really put me on the spot here, so I'm going to transition to Finnish. Silmän sisäinen alkemisti.
Which is a far better job than I will do. Silmän sisäinen alkemistini. I need to work on my Finnish. Which Base Cadet said was translated as?
It's my inner eye alchemist.
This was written, apparently, in the programming language Lisp, which for those of you that use Emacs, you're very familiar with this. Of course, I don't think it was written in Emacs Lisp. It probably was written in some form of Common Lisp. I don't know for sure. And we had a little bit of a conversation before we went on air about whether or not some of the structures that were in this were actually Lisp constructs or whether they were shaders. I was told beforehand that this basically has a few shaders, but it's almost entirely written in Lisp. Does anybody here write Lisp? I am not good at it, even though I have tried to write some Emacs things because I use Emacs. But and I know the language is, well, it has its charms and some WTF moments.
Well, it has lists,
Yes.
and it has infinitely long lists, and that may relate to the most memorable scene of the demo with the infinite dragons, because taking something from an infinitely long list is not a problem in Lisp. So that may have been what's going on there, but who knows?
Etc.
I think the technical term is recursion, so this was like a recursive routine. I mentioned while we were watching this demo that if you don't get this demo, you don't get Lisp, which means that nobody got the demo, of course.
Yes, that is true.
I
Yes,
should
ma'am.
have mentioned that the one experience I have of programming Lisp is making a talking moose.
Yes,
Yes.
and you did that with a Raspberry Pi.
Yep, yeah, that was work. Well, we have a tradition of Christmas cards doing something slightly oddball, and last year we had a stuffed moose on the wall of our office that read out tweets that people sent it, and after about 2 minutes of it being online, people started being hilariously abusive and working around the square filter by sort of misspelling things, and it completely drove everyone in the office mad. But anyway, the reason I mention this is that the speech synth was Festival, which is one of these famously shouted things at assembly, and also it's scripted in Lisp, and I couldn't make head nor tail of it.
Well,
Lovely story.
probably because it's all heads coming out of each other and no tail.
That's
Shall we move on to the next story? Would anybody like to speak more to that one?
I think maybe one thing missing from this demo was really parentheses. Like, I mean, if you can't have a list demo.
No one is going to get your UDP jokes, and no one cares if they do. All right, the next demo, and this is the point where, I mean, I remember the second demo, and I thought it was really cool. And I do remember a bit about the first demo, but at this point, with number 3, I realized that perhaps, since I already knew that several of the quote-unquote big groups, your ASD, your Fairlight, your MFX, your Keulers, the ones that have been big in the past 10 years, who may have won or had head-to-head fights, they weren't here. So at this point, those groups who have maybe been overshadowed by more, I don't want to say professional, but groups that have a longer term of working on things, we're going to have a chance to shine. And so, for example, Pyrotech here, their demo, Return, was the next thing. And the thing that I first noted about it was, well, they really are presenting something here that is of assembly high-end competition quality, and that's what I felt. I'll now go out to the rest of you. Who would like to say something first? Urs.
Yeah.
Only because he raised his hand quicker.
But since I blurted in for the last 2 demos, I thought this time I'll follow the rules. For once. Yeah, the first thing, even at the start of the demo, that I noticed is that all the assets in there, so textures and geometry and everything, looked very, very polished and high class. The actual technical content of it wasn't that fancy. I mean, it was more or less objects moving around, but every typical ASD demo is the same. So they are actually in the same ballpark there. And it all looked very polished, and they seem to have put a lot of effort in there. Mm-hmm. They even went so far and made it as ASD-ish by including a train and guitar music at the same time.
I honestly, and I will move on to somebody else, I honestly think that was a, hey, truck, remember when you were giving us a bunch of crap about being too much like ASD? Well, here, in your face. And I did like that. I thought that, well, again, it's their demo. They get to make what they want. If it were my demo, I'd make what I want. But that, nice touch there. Another thing, I'm not sure, and I'm just going to throw this out to all of you. It's called Return, and I think it's actually using or a second part of the story from last year's demo. At least that's what I remember from last year's demo with the teddy bear and the city and so forth. And they were saying that, yes, they were recycling, but that's because they care. I kind of got a feeling that it was a continuation of last year's demo. Did anyone else get that?
I think it's the return. I think it's more about returning to popular other demos, like the reference to ASD with the train, or I also thought with the flying birds when it went like that. I was strongly reminded on Rove by Farprosh. And yeah, another thing about Return in this demo is it starts with the bird, which takes off.
Yes.
And the bird is the red line through the demo, and in the end, it returns to its place on the desk. Yeah, maybe.
Setok.
I think pyrotech in general is an indication of the real problem that I have with, it's a recurring problem that I have with the demo compo in general. And that is that because you don't have the borders, the limitations of the hardware and the limitation of the class, you just get to throw more crap in. And I think pyrotech does that year after year after year, and some other groups do it as well. And I don't think that makes a good demo. I think a great demo is one where there is some kind of concept, you think about the visuals beforehand, and you build everything around that.
Right.
And I don't know why, but pyrotech has never managed to do that.
I'm going to throw back at you that those people that would say that removing all the content and presenting something that is not content makes better demos. What do you think of that?
That sounded like an existentialist.
Yes,
kind
exactly.
of,
We'll get to one
postmodern
of those in a
kind
little
of-
bit.
Yeah.
Yes. Are you saying that you would prefer seeing more things like that, like the existentialism things, or just throw them out of the comp altogether?
I'm not saying that every demo has to be experimental. I like experimental stuff, yes. But I mean, if you compare it to the 4K intro compo, there was, I'm so tired I forget the name of the demo now, the intro, where there was a real sort of visual cohesion to the intro. So it was like the dots and the white background, and it was like really sort of thought out.
Rustbloom was.
Yes, exactly. And I'm kind of missing that in the demo compo. I mean, there's a lot of resources that you have, and some groups manage to do that. I mean, CNCD, Fairlight have managed to do that in the past. But a lot of groups make the mistake that, hey, we have loads of resources, we can just chuck more stuff in, which is not the right way to do it.
Or not the way that you would do it?
And my way is right.
I understand, but so is everyone's. Gasman, but then I would also like to go to the guys from Adapt, because since they're, I'd like to have their thoughts on something that's different from their own demo. But yes.
I think, yeah, this idea of whether there's too much in there. I have to say the opening scene with the window, I think that has really sort of hit me with. It had the same sort of impact as the Guy Machina opening up with the field of strawberries, and I think that there was real emotion there. But then as it went on, there seems like they were trying to do too much. I think they could have done a really top class demos based on those sorts of themes, the window and the train going through the shrubbery, and but yeah,
So
tried too much maybe.
Maybe a bit more cohesion with the themes.
Yeah, the one thing it did do really well was emotion. There's that all the way through, but yeah, it was hard to sort of pick out a theme. I think, well, now you've explained the possible connection with the previous demo, then I think maybe that's falling into place.
That might be why, in my case, I'm not seeing it as much as what the two of you have said, because I'm seeing that connection with the earlier. But I also am not 100% sure it's really there. I also, because again, I'm tired as well, I may be thinking of the wrong demo from last year, and I may be crossing the streams, and you don't do that. Base Cadet and Deeper, what did you think of this demo? As you know, it's very different from your style of demo in this compo. What's your take?
Well, first of all, I would like to say for Pyrotech, they have like really good tech. So technically, they have always been able to handle proper rendering, and I think like many of their demos has missed late in the previous years some idea that takes the demo from beginning to the end.
Right.
And it's well, it's not always like only 3D. So like now they had some idea, like you explained, that the bird returns in the end, the beginning. Well, I was first thinking that it's like return of 1 year of silence, after 1 year of silence. I don't know if they released...
There's that also possibility, yeah, because we haven't seen a demo from them.
Yeah.
They haven't released a demo at any other parties. And yeah, kind of a we are back type thing.
But well, I'm a fan of good effects, so it was nice to see those cloud rendering. I was expecting something more, like flying into the cloud, and the lightning is the lights inside the clouds were looking very good.
All right, Base Cadet.
Yeah, like Sedok said, that it depended quite a lot of the content and objects and pre-scripted scenes. It's quite a risk in the demo competition because people are seeing you as cloning the ASD style with that. And like you said, we had quite a contrast to that because I think we had just one object.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yours was. We'll get to it in a minute, but yeah, yours was very different, quite a contrast to this particular demo. Now, I've been, again, I'm probably the most famous, at least in conversations I've had with Pyrotech, for being most critical of them for doing the ASD thing. So in some ways, I agree, but in other ways, that's what they have decided that they would like to do. And one of the things about making demos is that you get to make the demo that you want. And as such, perhaps they're very happy with this. Even if they don't win, perhaps they're really enjoying working this style in. I don't know. Unfortunately, they're not here. Guys, you should, next year, come on down here and we'll put you on and then we'll talk about this a little bit because it'd be good to get your opinions. Moving on to the next one, Division, who also, same type of thing. They brought something, you know, their A game to this competition, which is a good thing because they didn't have the, you know, the Fairlight thing that came in to crush them. So they're kind of standing on an even plane with, say, the Pyrotech guys or the, well, I'm not going to say the Velotrip guys because Vishu's Velotrip demos are always in a place on their own, but certainly the Adapt demo. The thing that struck me was that the pacing was much slower than previous Division demos. It was almost as if they had intentionally slowed this down, which I find interesting in that they named it Ignition, which normally means firing up. Anyone else with any ideas on the pacing, or Frankie?
Yeah. Yes, I was say Ignition perhaps based on that there was one big effect which was fire and fire particles, hence probably the Ignition name.
Yeah.
And that it was almost overused, but they at a certain point in time, okay, it's enough. Okay, you start with the burning Hindenburg as a small detail at the main logo, and then you go into the demo logo, which you completely fire up all the letters, and then go on from there. So the name was pretty well picked, and the well, I'm calling it particle fire. Maybe I'm totally wrong, and ASD will correct me when they're here. But who knows?
Okay. Deeper. The effects in this one, I mean, it was kind of an effect demo. I mean, there were 3D objects and so forth. But as a person who likes effects in demos, did you think that there were enough effects? Did you like the effects in this? Did it strike you as a demo with a lot of effect versus a lot of story? Because it kind of did to me.
Yeah, I think they used many of the same effects as in the last year demo. Sorry if I'm wrong, but it's.
It may be. I remember. I just remember that the previous ones were paced much faster, and it was kind of like, in some ways, they were showing the actual effect for itself rather than rushing by.
It looked like they had some kind of particles and cubes, but they didn't use those much. So it's.
I also found that the initial ignition thing, when it was being written on the screen, it seemed odd the way they were doing it until I recognized how it was being done. But it looked a little, well, it looked just plain odd. It didn't look polished. It didn't look wrong. It just looked kind of as if, okay, was it supposed to render like that? Setok.
Was this the one with the airships?
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah, yeah. So like Nazis from the moon, obviously destroying.
Strangely enough, having just seen a movie of that effect, yeah, that was brought to mind as well. For those of you who are watching at home, Iron Sky, the director's cut, was shown here. It wasn't shown on AssemblyTV, of course, but it was shown here to the audience. So many of us have just seen many scenes with that type of thing from Iron Sky. And maybe it was intended to do that because, I mean, well, it would be in our minds, and, well, I don't know. Again, the Division guys, you did speak with me on IRC right before the show. Would have loved for you to come down and talk about this one. But then again, I know you also like to just look and see what people had to say in the compost studios afterwards. Yes.
Yeah, about this Hindenburg scene with the ships going to the Earth and destroying it. This was the scene that doesn't fit to the rest of the demo, I thought, because everything before was nicely modeled and nice lightning, and those ships were just, yeah, I think they, yeah, maybe they saw the film and said to themselves, yeah, let's add that to maybe to get some more votes.
Could be. They did tell me that they did actually finish this one before the party, rather than doing a bunch of
really?
party coding at the end and twiddling with it and tweaking it. So I'm not sure that they added it at the last minute. They may have, well, added it in January or February. Again, they're a group, I don't believe we've seen anything from them outside of Assembly over the past few years. In fact, I think originally there were some questions because the year that they presented their first demo here was the year of the Division party in Austria. So there was some confusion there about, well, is that an invite or is it not? Gasman, your comments on this demo?
So, well, I think it's kind of all been said. It's yeah, I think I remember that the previous years with they sort of enjoy their geometry fragmentation of things, and but yeah, I see what you mean about it being a lot slower pace, but
it just seemed like it was slowed down.
yeah. I'm trying to remember now. Is this the one that also had sort of Asimov's Laws of Robotics in the soundtrack? Because
I
Or is it
heard
just
that,
imagining?
and
Yeah.
hold on. It has to be,
Yeah.
because it definitely was not in. It wasn't in your demo. Yes, you didn't use the Laws of Robotics in your track.
No.
Yeah, okay.
Okay.
So it has to be, because it definitely wasn't in the Lisp demo, and it was absolutely not in Majestic 12.
Yeah.
So it has to be and I did catch that at the time, but, well, then other demos came in, and I'm
Yeah.
tired. I'll have to
So-
watch all of these at home, and you know I will. That's also something for everybody at home. Download these demos, watch them again, remember how they looked on the big screen, but also they look a little different at home. And, well, they're also fun to watch. That's why we make them. Go ahead.
Well, that kind of made me a bit curious about how that fit into the theme, but yeah, it's.
I'm kind of getting an impression that none of us quite got exactly what the theme of this demo was.
Yeah.
So perhaps it's going back to the old effect show type thing.
But I think for an effects type demo that focused on ignition, as the title suggests, their fire effect actually wasn't all that fancy. I mean, if that is to be the central thing, and it was just polygons wavering around,
Yes.
we have seen better fire in a lot of demos in the past. So
You've done some good fire effects.
it
that
wasn't
were,
me, but,
I know, but you personally have. So that's, I mean, you did you and the guys in Mercury when you did the revision invite 2 years ago in 64K. The fire that you guys did was not just embers, but also flames and so forth. And yeah, that was that. But before we go to Sedok, Frankie had something to say.
Actually, what Urs said.
Okay. Urs, thank you for speaking for Frankie. Yeah.
I'm probably slightly getting mixed up between Division and Royal Elite Ninjas. To be honest, they were sort of getting jumbled up in my mind. Was this the one also with the kind of the particle type effects? Those things sort of, exploding sideways and things like that. So I was just thinking it was a bit of a tribute in a way to the old CNCD winner from a couple of years back. Was this the one with that? Because I'm not sure if I'm mixing up.
There were explosions and particles.
Yeah.
I don't remember that being in the PESIK and Royal Elite Ninjas thing, though.
Well, that kind of had particles that were forming words. And
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, that was more, and we can just move on to that demo now as kind of a segue. Yeah, more words were being formed. I couldn't read all of the words.
Yeah.
That was one of the difficulties I had with it. I thought that at one part it was saying the credits, but I couldn't quite make out what it was, and it was the camera angle. It almost seemed to me that this was more of an attempt at a 64K. Did anybody else feel that?
Yeah, it did feel like an extension of an entry that I think we saw in the 4K. So yeah, so I don't know whether this entry itself was size limited, and obviously the lack of 64K compo this year means it would have ended up in the demo compo in that case. But yeah, it did seem like the synth seemed like the 4K-ish synth. So yeah, so.
Well, not Royal Elite Ninjas, but at least PESIK normally does size limited. Deeper, you have a comment.
Yeah, I see it more like the design selection from Basic. If you see Basic's demo from last year, it's doesn't have many textures and it's like a good effects or better effects than most demos have. And so if you do that in a demo, you get blamed of everybody saying that okay, you could have done a 4K
Well, there's that too.
It's actually not so easy. So
no. I mean, I have said that I would really like to see the 64K compo come back, and I know we didn't have all that many entries here over the past years, but I do feel that the jump from demo to 4K is a bit too large. Sedok.
We were talking about this during the 4K compostudio. I think there's an argument that could be made on having just the 1K and then the 64K and then a demo. So not
I would
4K.
just trash the 1K.
Really? I thought the 1K was one of the best compos.
I do not enjoy that compo at all. It is, every single one of those could be much better if it was done in 4K. And it's, well, Frankie, you go ahead.
Yeah, it's what we discussed during the various previous compo studios here and also upstairs at our scene set area, is that it seems that okay, the 1K is the 1K and the 4Ks is the 1K, but instead with general MIDI music, it is with the soft synths, whereas then and one of the 4Ks, the last one was actually kind of a demo, with the demo compo then being, well, some of them could be reclassified as, okay, 64Ks. So it's all quite a bunch and a mix-up, which makes it really hard to actually see what was going on. And that's going to be a suggestion that I've mentioned before, is that please have the file size on the big screen, because now it's really hard to judge how big is this, and is this a 1K that didn't make it? Is this was this an original 64K? Is this demo 200K, 1 megabyte, 2 megabytes, 500 megabytes? We don't know, and it would be easier to judge everything. But I'm already jumping to conclusions, and we still have a couple of demos to go, so I'll get back to you.
But just to sum up, it was confusing determining what type of things they were, even though they were classified. It seemed that the classification could be wrong in some cases, and for the demo compo, having the actual size, especially since we don't have a 64K compo, having that will help us to determine, hey, is this a size-limited thing that is being done for the reasons of limitations of size, or is it something that looks like that, but instead is really, really huge? Back to staring through. After the previous two demos, I don't remember all that much about this one, and then of course the following one being the Belotrip one, and then the ADAPT demo. It seems to me that this one, at least in my mind, suffers from its placement in the compo, because it was kind of overshadowed by the previous two, and also overshadowed by the following two.
Yeah, the previous two ones were very heavy on detail, very finely textured, and this one had this more plain art style, which somehow made it, I don't know, it didn't stick so well.
It was appealing.
It was consistent in its style, and it made sense, but for some reason it didn't quite affect me that much.
It's not stuck up here in my head as to what this is, and that's a real shame, because here I am talking about the demo and I can't remember much about it other than I couldn't read the things. Frankie.
Well, there's the one memorable thing about it was the text writer. That you would have the particles float in, and they would create a plane, and then out of that would come letters, and it would move back out. And well, that's maybe the only thing that you will remember, because that's how everybody hears this. Oh yeah, that one.
Right.
Yeah.
Sadly enough.
And there was quite a lot of glitchy stuff and some noise stuff, some later pictures of people's faces, and them malformed a little.
Thank you. Yes, that is true. There was that, and there was a sample at some point in the demo, and then it changed pace. I will have to watch this one again. That's simply what it comes down to. I will simply have to watch this one again.
And it's Belotrip's farewell demo.
Yes.
They're not gonna do it anymore.
Well, somehow I think Vishu will continue to do something, but it won't be Belotrip. He'll do one of his other projects, and he has many. Sedok.
Are we on the Belotrip now?
No.
Well, I'm not saying anything.
We are just talking about various demos, and there was a comparison made to Belotrip. I would like to comment, or I'd like anybody that has anything more to say about staring through. Venom?
Just one little comment. I really love the group name, Royal Elite Ninjas. this is nice. Yeah.
It is an excellent name. I think they've produced some other. Well, they did the GBA thing, or no, the Nintendo DS.
Yeah.
Thing earlier. Sadok, did you have something to say, or do you really want to move on to Belotrip and say what you wanted there?
On Belotrip.
You're on Belotrip already. Deeper.
In the staring through, I think it's like it was nice to see the demo name shown, like making holes. First, it was hard to read the staring, but then you can see that okay, you're staring through, and that's something.
Yeah.
I think after that, the demo had it had some very nice particle cloud in the air and some good effects. And I think it was once again a design decision to begin with very simple stuff and advance it.
Perhaps if they made a remix of this, a final version, and they just use slightly different camera angles, so it's a little easier to read the things. Perhaps that would be perhaps that would help. At least I'd be able to read it. Base Cadet.
Yes, I just made a mistake. I thought we were talking about Pillow Trip.
Okay. So I didn't remember this then. Okay, we now must move on to Below Trip because we've already, in some cases, dropped some things. Sedok is going to explode if I do not call on him. So let's see how long that takes. Anyone with anything to say other than Sedok?
About Below Trip?
Yes, about Below Trip.
Yeah. Yes.
Okay, you'll have to wait. Sedok. Oh, wait, Frankie. No, Sedok. Sedok.
No, I can do it very short.
Okay, and then you're going to go.
Yeah, no.
Okay.
No, but I have one sentence.
Right.
I didn't get it.
Okay.
I'm sorry, Adapt guys. This was the demo for me. This was absolutely awesome. And I've seen Visu's demos before, and sometimes, I mean, there's always been a bit of an edge, but this just came together beautifully. There was a story. There was scene poetry that didn't suck. It tied into objects that were coming in. There was a bit of a political kind of thing going on. Did you watch the same
demo that I did? Because I didn't see any scene poetry.
Well, there was the text thing on the left-hand side, which I not quite scene poetry, but
was it in Finnish?
There was a story. No. There was,
maybe it's my eyes.
There was a story on the left-hand side going on. You know, it was describing things happening. This actually is not only an awesome demo and my favorite, sorry, that we're going to fight about this maybe, my favorite from this compo, but also one of the best demos that I've seen for quite some time. I really, really love this.
Okay. You, as a person who really enjoys abstract and different types of demos, so if something's really out there, you tend to gravitate toward that. So I'm not surprised. I'm not going to say it's one of the best demos in recent years. I am going to say I really liked the soundtrack.
The soundtrack was absolutely awesome as well. It was just, everything just came together.
I also felt that the ending, when it faded to black and still left the music going, that was very interesting on this screen. I'm not sure that will work at home. Venom.
Yeah, the ending was a bit like a heartbeat, I thought.
Yes.
And yeah, I'm with you on that one. It's also my favorite from this combo. Yeah, not the best demo this year, but it's also my favorite because I really like also the Satori stuff and yeah, it felt a bit like a mixture between Satori, PWP, and MFX. For me.
How can you not like this demo? I mean,
Well, I'm not saying that I don't like the demo. In fact, I really do. I think that's an excellent thing. Since Satori wasn't here, this was a demo that was like Satori for me, and I always really enjoy what Zden puts together. So I think, again, some of it may have been that when I was watching it, I really liked the soundtrack. As Frankie said afterwards, he said, judging by the way that you were banging your head, or you really liked this. I did. I really liked the soundtrack. I did not see any of the text you're talking about. And it may have been the color scheme. And it may have been that it was far enough away, and there's detail there that I missed because I was far away from it in the thing. Base Cadet.
Well,
you already said something about the music and how it changed. So let's say that again, if you can't think of anything else.
I like to think that the soundtrack, the lo-fi effect thing on the ending, it was the sample rate was going lower all the time, but it just made a stop, and then it was constant. I was waiting for the whole thing to come down, like 1 Hz style or something like
Right.
that, when you can't hear a thing at all.
Gasman?
Well, because long story short, I'm with Frankie. I didn't get it, but yeah, But what I found with all kinds of experimental demos like MFX, minimal artifacts, it's there's some that I connect to and some that don't, and and it seems like there's no logic that determines which ones do and which ones don't. And for this one, for whatever reason, it didn't. But I can see that there's elements there that it would actually, in a different phase of the moon or whatever, it may have worked out for me. But actually, the thing that I found was when I actually did sort of get out of the zone and then looked at the hall and a darkened room and with these abstracts, abstract minimal things on screen. It felt like something from 1984. So at that level, I kind of did dig what it was doing there.
Frankie.
Okay, now that I have my partner in crime, I can extrapolate. Thank you, Gasman. I didn't get it just because it was a plethora of flashing images and little unreadable text in the upper corner, going from one visual to another. I didn't see any cohesion or rhythm or putting things together. Just, okay, we have like 5 million layers of graphics and just put them together and move them around and show them. And that being said, I would play the soundtrack on Scene Set multiple times.
Oh yes, we will
But
play it in our next show.
That everything else, I actually agree on that one. We should, because it's a great soundtrack. But everything else, it's either my EBM rivet head brain does not compute to that because it wants 4/4 front 2 for 2 beats and not that. It's well, I'm pretty sure Setok later over beer. Please talk through it with me frame by frame, and then let's, if I go all headhunter on you, I apologize.
You're both front 2/4 fans, so it's not an issue.
Yeah, I know. So that's where we have at least we have at least that in common.
But do you listen to Skinny Puppy as well?
No, I think it's
Why
Racket.
not?
Yeah,
Yes,
that's
because it's, in my opinion, Racket and noise and weight, and it's absolutely not structured. I need structure.
Okay.
Well,
their new album you need to hear. Okay. I would like to bring up something specifically with the two of you, and I apologize to everybody else on the panel. But what I think I kind of just heard you say was that, in a way, this demo just had too many things thrown into it over and over again. And you had said earlier that that was the type of thing that the other demos were doing. So, would you two just discuss?
But you see, this had a concept to it. I mean,
What concept?
there was a visual similarity between all the parts. I mean, they had used common filters. There was the way that they tied in the images of suitcases with an actual object of a suitcase that kind of came in from the void. It wasn't. I mean, it wasn't a mass of different types of effects. It was basically one effect or two effects or three effects tied together and telling a story throughout the demo. So this, I mean, you might not like the kind of visual concept, but it was a visual concept that they had.
I'm sorry, I have to basically say you just described the demo from Pyrotech.
No.
And I'm afraid that I see both of these demos as I disagree about throwing everything in the kitchen sink into both of them. I think they both have elements of cohesion and elements of let's move over here because I feel like going over here now. But I have since you have opposite sides of the coin of what I think is the same type of demo, except one is 3D and one is primarily 2D. I think that's really where I'm looking at it.
I'm also jumping back because we have these little cheat sheets which have the demo list.
Yes.
And for Majestic 12, we have the screenshot of the pre-calc loader.
Yes.
And I have to say, was the pre-calc actually pre-calcing something, or was it just loading 5 million images into memory? Because I did not see anything that needed to be pre-calced in there, so I guess it was just like loading images.google.com on suitcases and go for it.
But there were 3D objects as well, so there was like code coming in, but it just kind of
I'm not saying
interferes
that
with
there is no code, but if you need to pre-calc a rotating suitcase, then your C64 can do it better.
No, it wasn't pre-calculating. It was a visual concept.
Oh yes, so it was actually randomizing and creating the concept on the fly.
Well, someone earlier said that this demo was a demo with a message or something, or social criticism. So I think I, for one, clearly also saw this message. So I think it was current. It was maybe, in seeing these NSA scandal stuff, and I think it was a bit. I think it was the message was also about in that direction.
It was abstract, but it had a message, and you received that message after watching it. Right. Deeper, as a person who, again, you mentioned earlier about the effects, and Sedok is saying that there are quite a few effects in this thing. What's your opinion on that?
Well, first of all, I would like to say that it's pretty brave to have the courage to make a demo like this here.
Yeah.
So it's
Especially in front of
stick on the concept and
in front of this audience. This is not traditionally an audience that will respond well to a political heavy or other Below Trip demos that have been shown here in the past have been shown first or second, as if they were not quite so liked by the jury.
But on the effect side, I think it had very nice like analog style stuff, and also it was at some point very difficult to tell if something is rendered or if it's a picture, some photograph or something. But it's in the end it actually didn't matter, because everything was very tightly and nicely bound into the music, and the sync was so intense. I think it was kind of making the overall mood of this demo.
So between sync, the overall processing effects, and perhaps use of color, from all that it came together and produced a effect demo, not a 3D one, but a 2D demo. That's kind of what you're saying.
I have to say that actually I believe there was not one individual effect in there, and I also didn't get any message from this demo. But the one thing that this demo really did well was convey, without nothing in particular in this demo expressed anything, but in total it had this wonderful flow from the, let's call it the green emotion at the start, to the red emotion at the end. That is, without doing this explicitly, it managed very well to express this flow in I don't know, in feeling of the demo. And normally I'm a person that totally detests noise demos, because I think they're just random shit thrown on the screen. But in this case, it actually worked. It was just random stuff thrown on the screen, but it managed to. I like the color, I like the green, and I like the transition to the red, and that worked very well, without even conveying a message by itself. It was just a screen full of stuff hitting me.
I remember red and I remember black, and I don't remember any green.
It started green. After the load, it was green.
All right. Well, there you go. I have become red-green colorblind. Yes, Frankie.
So if I may suggest that we reorder ourselves in like the order that we like the demo. So that me and Gasman over there, Urs can sit in the middle,
Yeah.
and the two
I
guys
guess-
can stay in the chair
Well,
over there.
we're going to move on now to the last demo, or perhaps we're going to have one last comment from
just
Seba.
one, actually, more of a question. So was I the only guy who was actually reading the text as well?
I did not.
You didn't
I
have
didn't know
anything?
there was text.
I actually read the text, or I tried to read it, and
So you saw it.
I could make out say like it would say loading this text, loading that text, and you could actually read it, but therefore I can read finish, but I don't understand it. I could read what was in there, I just didn't get it.
Okay, so just checking that I'm not going crazy, because it has been a long day. So.
Yeah.
Yes, I have read it, but the message went right through me.
Yeah.
I think, well, what's said, I think that kind of hits the nail on the head for me. I was trying to read the text and trying to follow the theme of it, and it left me wondering what swallowing a pill had to do with the police violence, I just couldn't really follow a narrative through it. But yeah, I definitely appreciate the sort of change in mood throughout it. So I think that's like,
I just read the text and there was a story being told, but I just got this part, this one more image added to the whole set. It was not by itself telling the story of the demo, but it was just one image of all of them.
I mean, I don't think it was a story where, Alice finds a hole and the rabbit jumps. It wasn't that kind of story, but I mean, there was kind of a theme.
I didn't see any text whatsoever, and I still liked the demo. I think it's a cohesive demo that has a lot in it, but I guess I'll have to watch it again to
You're going to
get
like
the
it even
story
more
portion.
when you see the text.
Yeah, I had no idea it had text in it. All right, so the final demo, and then we can do some wrapping up, and I'll probably hit. Yeah, I'm sure people have been sending me messages on my phone. That's why I left it on. The final demo, we have two folks who have joined us who actually were involved in the creation of this. Guys, do you want to talk about the demo first, or would you like to hear everyone's comments first and then react to them?
Yeah.
All right. Then let's do that.
Yeah, it's like been heavy party coding session again.
You
So
did this all during the party.
Well, we had
Mostly.
a few seconds done yesterday, so it's a tradition of us to make it here, and
So all of your demos have been done at the party.
Mostly.
yeah,
I had no idea. We've talked about them in previous years, and we've always thought that you've spent more than just a party session doing that. That's actually another thing that would be useful to have on the slides, because there's a difference between having several months to create a theme or to a cohesive story and to produce it on the fly. Yes, deeper.
well, it's a bit difficult to measure how much you have actually done during the party because, well, we started 2009 this engine, made one demo for assembly, made another demo 2011,
Right.
last year another one, and now so it has been a progression of building a demo engine that lets you make demos quickly.
Right.
So we are getting there to be a bit faster.
So, I mean, you have an engine that allows you to do this, but you're still continuing to code on the engine each time and improving it.
Yeah.
And you're not starting from scratch. I don't know that many people that nobody starts banging the metal anymore. So there's that. Coming to Sedok, Urs, you first.
Okay, I'm just going to ask a very blunt question. Your release looks kind of like a 4K. Can you explain why?
Well,
all the materials and geometries more or less simple, and then of course the effects that come from it are complex and stuff that cannot be done in 4K with hydrodynamics and everything. But
Yeah, well-
it looks, the optics, it tastes 4K-ish.
We decided to go with mostly generated content this time.
Yeah, okay.
yeah, well, we decided to focus on the effect side totally now and forget like a high-level storyboarding, and it's like but there's still some some idea, you can try to figure it out. Yeah.
I just want to make sure. If people are having problems hearing deeper, let me know, because I'm sometimes having trouble, but it's probably because I'm further away. But if the microphone is working fine, I know they swapped out your microphone a little bit ago. Zadok.
Yeah, I'll maybe comment on the demo later, but I actually wanted to just react on what you said about having text about the demos. Like, I didn't actually know that you guys coded the demo at the party. So what Instancy has done, which is the party in Jyväskylä, you're allowed to go up on stage before each entry, and you can talk about your entry. So you can talk about, the philosophy or the techniques that you used. We're going to be stealing that for the alternative party in October.
I'm not sure that I would agree that that's a good thing, especially given some people, my propensity to pontificate. Also, I am not a big fan of what happens in the States at a lot of parties, where you'll have somebody who is trying to explain the demo as it's being played. And for goodness sakes, if you're the audience doesn't need to have the effects explained to them. It's a demo. Let it speak for itself. But now we're completely on a tangent. And let's go back to talking about your demo. So, again, party-coded production, or did you also do the music entirely here?
No, not at all. It's
Okay.
Legend or Kumotus and Minimus. I just wrote the code this time.
Okay. So you did all the graphics then?
No.
What did you do in the
Basically,
demo?
was focusing on the tool development.
So you're working on the tool along with your coding the back-end engine portion. Okay. I'm going to be very interested to see this tool when it's finished. Even if you don't release it, I want to see how you're putting these things together.
Sorry.
Go ahead.
So we have actually I can tell a little about the tool. So we have extended the
Please do.
GNU Rocket control system.
Okay.
Which is, it's...
Yeah, GNU Rocket is made by Kuzma and Scrabble. And it is used for, it's a tool, multi-platform tool, that can be used for syncing and controlling things in your demo. Did you always used to do the spacebar sync like so many other folks?
Yeah, well, before using GNU Rocket, we had all kinds of systems, like modifying those into the files, or, well, the worst is, of course, compile again and then start. And but we had some mouse control systems and some systems like that where you, well, mainly it was code based before.
Right. The system itself, if you want to have more information about it, possibly the best place to go, other than just the GNU Rocket website, there was recently at the Demo.js party in France, Mog, one of the sceners there, gave a presentation on using GNU Rocket for controlling JavaScript demos. So not just Windows demos. I mean, it's been used for Game Boy Advance productions, Windows productions, Linux productions, anything. It's cross-platform. It's made to allow you to free yourself from having to mess with and write code or do spacebar sync. So you have a system that starts with that, and continue.
Yeah. So we have a system, and then we build some new effects and put those, modify those on the run.
Okay.
Whatever.
So you write effects, you fill them into the GNU Rocket framework.
Well, we have actually extended our demo system so that it directly talks with the Rocket.
Right.
Well, it actually directly talks initially, but we have quite a lot extended the actual Rocket.
Cool.
And maybe someday we can share it with the original creators.
At least release the patches we have made so far.
I will basically say that if I know Kuzma at all, he's probably watching this now, he's probably sitting at home saying, yes, please submit me the patches now. He's the type of person that would want that. And he's also, well, he's pretty decent to work with. He may be a little harsh at times, but he's good to work with. All right. Comments on the demo?
I want to comment on another thing.
All right.
Because I was sitting not far away from the Adept guys, which I just get to know you some days ago, and it was really nice to see the progress of your demo during the days. Because every time I passed, we had a little chat on how the demo is going, and yeah, it was really nice to see the progress from day to day during your hard work putty coding, like it's should be. It's the best thing to putty code, and with such an awesome result, I think.
To that effect, sometimes when people come here from outside of Finland, or those folks that maybe don't come into the arena at all until the demo shows, the demo compos, there is a bit of camaraderie that takes place inside, especially in the old school area. In the past few years, when we've had the demo booth, and you know, when we're working to fill up the compost studios, I've said this every time that anybody ever brings up the demo scene with me. The demo scene is 95 or higher percentage social, and sometimes it seems like there's a bit missing from assembly because everybody is somewhere else, but that isn't actually true. There are people who are here, and many times they're up in the old school area. So don't be afraid of coming here to assembly. It's a great party to come to. Some of us live here. Well, let's see, of the people here, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4 of us. You moved away deeper, yes? You're no longer local? Or are you still here in Helsinki, in the Helsinki area?
Yeah, I'm near here. So
Yeah, okay. So many of us are local, and we can guide you to places if you come in a couple extra days. It's a wonderful place to visit. Please come to assembly. We really this year have been missing people from many of our friends weren't able to make it this year. Please come back next year, and bring productions. Conspiracy, it's time to get your butts back up here again. Also, maybe releasing another 64K, but I know I haven't finished any of my stuff, so you can call me on that one. But you need to visit again.
There is a party in October, so there is an excuse to.
Yes, it's called TRSAC. It's in Denmark. And yeah, sorry, but I am going into that one. However, we will see what happens with the alternative party this year with your new ideas that you're borrowing from Instancy, and see how it evolves from where it went. Because
yeah, it's a whole new team. So.
Yeah, it kind of at one point kind of seemed almost as if you were kind of pushing the demo scene away, and now you're bringing it back in. So I'm very interested in seeing how that does, and I'm going to watch that as an outsider and then return next year. Because you will have one next year, yes?
Possibly not. We never know. But I just wanted to comment. We never pushed away the demo scene. Our philosophy has always been developing the demo scene. But that can feel like it because we don't do the same thing over and over again, and people want that same thing over and over again.
No, honestly, it really did feel like we were being told to go away. Just as feedback. Another time, we'll discuss that. Let's talk more about what's on my phone. Unless anybody has anything further to say about any of the demos, I've got all sorts of stuff. People probably want me to comment on some things. Kuzma says, indeed, submit patches.
Well, I would have hardcore coder question about your demo.
All right, go ahead. Hardcore question
Because
about
you,
that.
you had the scene in the demo where you had the hand dipping into the water or fluid. Was this actual, I mean, were the waves actually real? Because it looked like they actually, water simulation, was it actually actual water you were simulating, or was it just very, very well faked?
Yeah, well, it was a water simulation, so
Okay, so it
I don't
was
know how-
actual water, it was not fake.
how can you tell if it's fake or not?
Well, yeah, it looked right, so it's probably right, or you
Yeah.
found a good way to fake it.
I will answer that one. In the 64K Turtles All the Way Down, they released a post-mortem of it on their website. And they do mention that when they were doing the waves, they just faked it by using mapped sinus fields. So, and we see that in many things, especially in 64Ks and size limits. They'll just, okay, let's just use a sinus field and repeat that and bounce the reflections off of that. So that is what I'm thinking of when I'm thinking of
So
faked water. Yes.
I can certainly say that it's not sinus waves.
Okay.
So if you take another look at the demo, you can see the particles and everything is
Okay.
hitting the water and or the reflection material, whatever it is.
Okay.
So yeah.
That makes it at least twice as awesome.
water is only one effect. I think the bigger effect is the reflections. I don't
Yeah.
know how
Yeah.
visible they are.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's like well,
Okay.
Sadok.
I mean, obviously everybody knows what my favorite demo is. I'm probably not going to win because it splits opinions. So I think for the combo, it's actually going to be a toss between your demo and Pyrotech probably. I don't know. Do you agree?
I don't know which of my favorite demos. I have several that I need to rewatch, and I don't know
But
that
I'm
I'll have
talking,
time.
the winner, not.
No,
not-
I'm talking about which one am I going to vote for. I don't know at this point, so I can't actually say that I have a favorite. I will say that I have a message here that says that they agree with you and that you speak the truth about this demo. So you may be wrong. It may actually have much more.
Which demo?
The Bealo Trip demo.
Okay.
It may actually have that sneak in and grab the winning thing from the clutches of Pyrotech and Division.
And you can always win the most original concept award from
Yes.
Alternative Party.
Are you doing that again this year?
Yes, we are. Yes.
All right. So you're probably going to be giving that one to the railway thing and ignoring this demo because you didn't like this
I'm not-
Bealo
I
Trip
tell
demo at
you
all.
that.
Right.
I'm not revealing anything.
I didn't think you would. You haven't said anything about which demo you really, really like in this competition, and I'm sure you wouldn't bring that to that. I don't actually have as many messages as I was expecting, but that actually may be a good thing. Yeah. So, without a lot of messages on my phone, I guess we are down to what did everybody think of the competition in general? There weren't as many things. Did it feel it was lacking? Yes, deeper.
well, I was certainly expecting more demos, but it's and more like you said in the beginning that all the big stars are missing. So,
Yeah.
so well, it doesn't actually need big stars. You can get some new guys also, giving some very heavy good experience. So,
Yes. New demo groups, new people working on things is very much something that, well, all of us like. Sadok, I think, really likes it.
Again, referring to Instancy, we went there.
Yeah.
There was one other scener that I knew. Everybody else was new, and they were like folks in their 20s.
Cool.
So there's a whole new scene coming up.
Excellent. Whole new Finnish scene, because, I mean, we haven't seen that much from Instancy outside of that. And some of the other countries, certainly Poland and France has had a resurgence of young sceners in the past couple of years as well.
But I will say that of the compos at Assembly, this was not the highlight for me, the demo compo, although there was a couple of really nice ones. The highlights were maybe the 1K and the real Real Wild. Those were my personal highlights.
The Real Wild, I would agree with. The throwaway compo, no, I can't agree with that. That compo had 1 or 2 entries that could have been expanded into 4Ks, and the rest of it is just somebody should take those ideas and work them into something rather than just throwing it up on the screen with, oh, look, I made something. You can do more than just make a 1K and throw it up there. It's a refuse compo. And I say this as a person who collects refuse, you know, Sir Garbage Truck. That compo is not something I look forward to. When we review the demos each month at Klubi, we show all the demos from the previous month. And when we hit a run of 1Ks, the morale of the room just drops because you just feel, oh, there could have been so much more. Well, that didn't go anywhere. Okay, let's do the next one. Oh, please make these stop. And I hate when I'm watching demos and something makes me want to stop because I enjoy this so much. I enjoy the creativity, all of the things that come out of it, and I just see the 1Ks as a dead end. I've spoken enough on that.
I have to disagree with you, actually. Because if we take a look at the demo compo as a whole now,
yes,
and compare it to previous years, it had nothing missing. I mean, it had nice effects demos, it had nice demos showing some crowd pleasers, showing design, and had a demo conveying emotion. But still, it felt like it was nothing new. I mean, none of the demos felt like, wow, this is the big new release. On the other hand, if we compare the 1K compo this year with the one from previous years, there has been a huge development because in this year's 1K compo, basically every entry had music. We have had a huge collection of new rendering techniques that were not seen before in 1K, and this is something, at least as the kind of scener that more looks at technique than at art, that is one area where I see much more development happening. So for me, 1K stood out at this party.
Gasman.
Yeah, it's...
We gave you plenty of time. We haven't talked about it for a while.
Gatsman's already at the Magic Castle over there.
No, I don't think so. I think he's still here with us. He's just... He wasn't caught off guard.
Yeah, I was kind of, just swinging between those two opinions, really. It's, I think, as, yes, that was it. It's, I think having given 1 or 2 talks within like the UK hacker scene about the demo scene and getting into it, I think I've sort of had to ask what would my advice be for someone getting into the scene, and I think you start off with the tutorials of get a spinning cube up, but then I think after that then you've got to sort of add your own bit of invention, and I think maybe some of these 1Ks are it's sort of doing the minimum possible. It's not going beyond to getting a spinning cube up and saying, okay, that's my demo. And I think it needs your own individual spark, and I think it needs to be done in a context where people can have that spark.
I'd just like to expand on that. In many cases, I've seen people who dismiss the demo scene as, well, that's just a bunch of screen hacks. And truthfully, that is kind of what the 1K things can be. I won't say that all of them are, because, and certainly we had some of them in this competition. I agree with you. This is a better competition than last year. But there is a bit of just the screen hackery there. Just I made something that just is kind of glitchy and, well, I'll put that in. Adding your own to it, or expanding it with friends, or making something that makes it individual or yours is really where a lot of the joy comes in. And I guess that's what I'm saying is I don't see that as much in the 1Ks. And because, again, I'm a type of person who really enjoys the demo scene and what has come out of it. And I see the potential for people who are getting involved with this hobby to really enjoy themselves, to make things. And I see that area as a dead end for much of it, and I don't like that there is a dead end. So I guess I'm really saying, if you're working on a 1K and you're not personalizing it, or you're not working with your friends and turning it into something that is distinctly yours, or something that you really want to say, yeah, I did that one. That is mine. That is my cube with all of my touches on it. Then, well, it isn't that you're missing everything, but you're missing a lot. Try making it personal. Deeper. You've made a few small productions like 4Ks and so forth. Am I completely off base here?
Yeah, no.
Okay. No, I've been off base before.
We had a 4K last year. Actually,
Yes.
we had a GNU Rocket integration there, so it gave a little pain because before assembly the player side was not rewritten, so it was not completely compatible with 4K size. So I had to rewrite it during the party, and well, that's to answer your previous question. Why maybe now the demo is kind of looking, or the effects are like 4Ks or something. It's because now this year we didn't focus on making 4K. All focus was on making demo, and before it has been going at the same time. Like last year, we were trying to make 4K, 1K demo.
Right.
And
would you encourage more people to do party productions?
Well, now.
I mean, considering we didn't have all that many entries, it would be an excellent time for somebody to make their first production and enter it.
2 nights of almost no sleep. It feels like not to say tell anybody to do it, but
right.
But it's still a nice own experience. So it's
you have fun doing it, yes?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. And actually now when I'm almost happy with the end result, it's even more fun feeling. Like in the end, well, I have experienced also that side that you're awake 3 nights, and then in the end, during the last morning or day, everything is still.
It just falls apart.
Yeah,
and it
yeah.
doesn't go there. Sadark, I may not call on you. You have had a lot to say, and not
It's
everybody
related
else
to
has.
this. It's related to this comment.
It's related to that.
So,
All right. Go ahead.
I think a lot of the tools today make it actually much more feasible to do a party demo. To be honest, probably many of the ones that we saw today could have been done at the party, at least to some extent. So I just wonder, back in the old days, some of the teenagers, some of my friends, would work on a demo for a year. And I wonder if that has actually, gone are the days when you would actually do that, because it's not even necessary. The tools make it so much more feasible.
I happen to know at least 3 groups that have been working on a demo for more than a year at the moment, and they're not happy with it, or they're not ready to release it yet. It isn't where they are. So, and I know, well, for instance, wasn't Debris a 2-year project? Yeah, Debris, Farbrush Debris, that took 2 years from, and they got the music at the very last moment, but still, yes, there are still both party productions and people who are working on things very, very long. There's also people who are working on things so long then they really should just release it. And we've seen that, I don't know, from me. But if you've got a production that you've been working on for a while and you're not exactly happy with it, it may actually be time just to release it and move on to the next one. I am very much guilty of that. Of course, I'm also very much guilty of never being happy with anything. Urs knows this from seeing me work on a production for the Finnish Waffles wedding, and just about, well, it was also a party production type thing. We started on it that afternoon, and about 3 hours in, and when we had 5 hours to do it, I was pretty much just saying that I don't want to do this. I hate this. I hate everything about it. And he was still having fun, which drew me out of it. So, yeah.
And it turned out great.
It did. It turned out wonderful. It's the only demo that ran on the hardware.
Yeah.
And, well, that's another thing. All of these demos, I think there weren't any demos this year that somebody will say, well, I have to buy new hardware for. Like, say, oh, I don't know, some demos that Smash has done in the past where he's just really, really pushed the limits. And that's another thing. Sometimes people say that we're not pushing limits anymore because we're doing 3D and we're not doing 2D, or we're not hitting the old machine hardware. Even though we didn't see that with this particular compo, it still is also happening. I will continue with a bunch of segues here in a minute, so you should say something. You haven't said anything in a while.
Yeah, about maybe about pushing limits.
Yes.
Maybe there were no demos on the classic demo combo pushing limits, but in the real world combo, for example, there were a lot of demos pushing limits, and yeah, I can totally see you guys buying those big hardware LCD stuff to put it in your in the scene clubby or something like that, and doing some more demos on it and pushing it even more.
I want one of those 20-unit display units like Heidelme used in the, what I'm going to call the Heidelme compo, because it pretty much was, I mean, they had three productions in that. That's, for somebody that can't even finish one, that's amazing. Props. Yes, Frankie.
Sure. Having to, sadly enough, kill your dream, the 20x4 display demo was completely fake.
That's fine. I still want one.
It ran off a PC.
Yeah,
fine.
It was just outputting its stuff on the display.
I still want one.
They still had their limitations.
I have the same kind of display soldered to my Raspberry Pi, and I guess it'll run there as well.
Yes, well, if it would have been on a Raspberry Pi, then yay. If it's running stuff from a PC, it's like, well, okay.
I think the point with that one is that it was character-based, so it wasn't just PC is rendering an image and it's being squirted over to this LCD. I think it was unfortunate that it wasn't really explained that well as in the presentation, but I think there is it did have its own validity.
What do you mean by in the presentation? Was there a presentation that I missed that went along with this?
Yeah.
Well, in the way that it was presented. So if how there were like 4 scrolly messages at once, and one of those might have actually explained this. But apart from that, it was kind of it wasn't clear what the hardware was running at, and I think we could have done with that.
But there was actually one limitation as well, because you can design 8 individual characters at a time, and there was the one effect that was twirling around the characters was trying to focus on how many characters it had that were different, but I just lost the track.
Yeah,
but it kept me confusing.
And those the metro thing that you saw, the train thing, there is one available still somewhere, so we should get one for the Scene Club.
Not only that, also we should have it available for Alternative Party as one of your special compos. We have to sum up because we have probably about 3 minutes left. So I'm just going to ask highlights of Assembly. We'll start with Venom.
My highlight was definitely the real wild compo. Yeah. the Helme domination, as already mentioned, and the metro stuff, and also the Android demos. The one with the road was very nice,
Yes.
and it had very clever lighting, and yeah, the curlers who were back another time.
Yes.
And yeah, I really enjoyed every single, maybe not the very first one on this Atmel. Was it Atmel? No, it was more powerful than Atmel.
Z-board.
It was a Z board, which was explained to us as a military spec thingy.
Okay. Yeah, but it was like just Hello World.
It was really cool.
It was.
Have to move on
yeah,
because
but yeah.
we don't have much time. Sedok, quickly.
Real Wild, definitely big highlight for me. Another highlight was actually because we're going to be giving out the most original entry thing. It's not obvious which one we're going to give it out to. Many years it has been completely obvious.
Right.
This year it's not as easy as we
Not
thought.
as easy. All right. Deeper, your highlight.
Well, it's a. I'm almost satisfied with the demo. That's like.
That's possibly the best comment that I have heard about assembly. That's just awesome. Base
Well,
Cadet.
Yeah, mostly the rewild. But unlike you said about the 1K, I see it as a growing platform because I remember about a decade ago, people said the same thing about 4K.
Yeah.
So I'm just waiting for it to grow because you can do it a lot yourself. Like in demos.
As long as people bring in, they personalize it and it stops being screen hackery based.
Yeah.
I will move out of these are not making me happy to, oh yeah, that's excellent. Frankie.
Things I'll certainly remember from here is, first of all, the Rosbloom 4K, I believe it was, going into the JavaScript 4K, and then the Raspberry Pi Real Wild entry.
Gasman.
Yeah, I think I'd have to concur that the Real Wild, as I said in the compostudio, it delighted me on a personal level that these platforms that I've been gunning for all this time are finally sort of becoming prime time, and I think I would also attach the Tron JavaScript 4K onto that as well. So yeah, that was really it for me.
The one single thing that impressed me most was the last entry in the video animation compo, actually. One with the machine things and gears and everything. That brought them down.
Yeah. Oh, yes, yes. That was surprising.
Yes.
I loved the twist at the end.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, well, I think actually the thing that I enjoyed the most was seeing how well the raves worked. I loved all the productions. But, you know, I remember there were a couple years here where we didn't have raves, and seeing the folks that were enjoying that so much down front. I mean, I think it went on for 5 hours. I could be wrong. It could be 6. I know that they stopped at 5 in the morning, and I was very tired, but just watching that all come together and some of the things that surrounded that, I wasn't going to broadcast it on SceneSat, and then I was asked to because it's important. Muffler is an important demo scene musician, and he's here performing for us. Of course, we need to broadcast that, and so we did, and I'm just thrilled because I mean, people were just enjoying the heck out of that. I enjoyed all of Assembly this year. I've always enjoyed all of Assembly, but truthfully, I've been outside of Assembly this time for, I think, an hour. So I've been inside Assembly the entire time. And I have to say, I'm also very impressed with the improvement on the big screen. I believe it is twice as bright this year because they have 2 projectors. I don't think we had that last year. It just seems like a much brighter screen. So everything just has come together to make an excellent Assembly. I'm not sure if I'm supposed to take us out or not. Good. I'm supposed to take us out. So thank you for tuning into my show. And for the ending of the Assembly 2013 Compo Studio for the demo compos and the end of all of the compos for Assembly, join us tomorrow for the prize giving number 2, where we will find out if any of the things that we talked about that we liked will win. And, well, enjoy the rest of your evening. Thank you from Assembly 2013.